So good afternoon, selamat petang. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues and students at AU, please join me in extending a warm welcome to Deputy Prime Minister of Malaysia, the Right Honourable Datuk Sri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi. I'm Pek Kun Heng, Assistant Professor here at American University School of International Service and Director of the ASEAN Studies Initiative. We're deeply honoured by Dr. Ahmad Zahid's presence here and the opportunity it gives us to celebrate the vibrant cooperation between US and Malaysia, which President Barack Obama upgraded to a comprehensive partnership during his state visit to Kuala Lumpur in April 2014. Dr. Ahmad Zahid will speak today on an issue of vital importance to US-Malaysia relations, that of countering violent extremism in Malaysia and elsewhere. In 2010, Prime Minister Najib Razak made Malaysia a key partner in combating extremism when he introduced the Global Movement of Moderates initiative to promote mutual understanding and nurture diversity in all walks of life. Another groundbreaking milestone in Malaysia-US relations achieved by Prime Minister Najib and our distinguished speaker today, one recognizing the importance of strong economic ties, was to make Malaysia the very first country to sign and ratify the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Amitaf Achaya, who will then introduce our distinguished speaker. Amitaf is my colleague and chair of the ASEAN Studies Initiative. Dr. Amitaf is Professor of International Relations at SIS and UNESCO Chair of Transnational Challenges in Governance. He's the author of many important works, including The Making of Southeast Asia, Constructing a Security Community in Southeast Asia, and Rethinking Power, Institutions, and Ideas in World Politics, and the End of the American World Order. In 2014 to 15, he served as the first elected non-Western president of the International Studies Association, the largest and most well-known scholarly association in international studies worldwide. Dr. Achaya, would you come up here?
Thank you, Peg, for that very flattering, kind introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Malaysia, truly Asia, is the slogan for tourism in Malaysia. However, I would like to say that Malaysia is truly the world. It's a microcosm of the world. Few places on earth can combine the cultural diversity, physical beauty, cuisine, and hospitality of the people as wonderfully as Malaysia. I am personally grateful and fortunate to have visited all the 13 states and the 3 federal territories of Malaysia, except 1 state and 1 federal territory. I'm not going to name them in case somebody here is from Perlis or Labuan. Very sorry, I didn't go to those. But I have traveled throughout Malaysia in my 12 years in Southeast Asia, climbed the highest mountain of Southeast Asia, Mount Kinabalu, had bakute and roti canai in Kuala Lumpur, had nasi kandar and nasi Melayu, nasi kampung in Penang. Very hard to find a place as beautiful, culturally diverse, and vibrant as Malaysia. And even more importantly, Malaysia is a progressive developmental state. It's a founder of ASEAN. It's a leader of the developing world, and one of the emerging nations that is helping to redefine world politics in the 21st century. And these are some of the reasons why we're especially fortunate and delighted at the School of International Service and at the American University to have and welcome our distinguished speaker today and have a chance to listen from him his views on Malaysia, Southeast Asia, and the world, focusing on the questions of extremism and terrorism and how to address them. Our speaker, Honorable Dato Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, was appointed as the Deputy Prime Minister of Malaysia on 29th of July 2015. He is also presently assuming the critical post as the Minister for Home Affairs of Malaysia since 2013. Dr. Ahmad Zahid was formerly the Minister of Defense from 2009 to 2013. He first joined the cabinet as Minister in the Prime Minister's Department from 2008 to 2009. And prior to his first ministerial post, he was the Deputy Minister for Tourism from 2004 and 2006. Maybe that's when he coined the term Malaysia Truly Asia. And Deputy Minister of Information, 2006 to 2008. Dr. Ahmad Zahid is a banker by profession, or was a banker before he became full-time politician. He obtained his PhD in communication from Putra University, Malaysia in 2008. At the political level, Dr. Ahmad Zahid is currently the acting president of United Malaya's national organization, UMNO, and the most senior vice president of UMNO. UMNO, as you know, is the backbone of the National Front Alliance, which is the current ruling government in Malaysia. Dr. Ahmad Zahid is currently the Member of Parliament in Bagan Dato, Perak since 1995. Without further ado, it's my great pleasure to invite our distinguished speaker, Dato Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, to the podium.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Very good afternoon. I would like to give my salutations to His Excellency, the Ambassador of Malaysia, Dr. Awang Adi Hussein. Big hand to him. And of course, Chief Intelligence of Malaysian Police, Special Branch, Datuk Fauzi. So he will be monitoring my speech and will be sent to the Prime Minister on real time. Thank you, Professor Amitav Acharya and Professor Pek Kun Heng, our distinguished moderators and experts in their respective discipline for the kind introductions. I think they deserve to be given a big hand by all of us. Once again, good afternoon to all of you, faculty members, students, and members of the media who are here with us today. It is a privilege for me to be here speaking at American University. Then I told Professor Peck, I need to take a break. I would like to pursue my sabbatical leave over here in this university, esteemed university. And I really admire, appreciate the organization by the American University, in particular the faculty members, School of International Service. And I think the university, the faculty deserve to be given a big hand again by all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been in Washington for the last few days to join other global leaders at the 4th Nuclear Security Summit at the invitation of President Barack Obama. It has been a rewarding visit, especially since the relationship between Malaysia and US is so strong today. We are proud that our relationship was officially elevated, as mentioned by Professor Peck, to a comprehensive partnership in 2014. Thank you very much to US government and the leadership for recognizing our contribution to the American community and the government and the people. Thank you so much. And since then, there has been increased interaction between business and government leaders on both sides. Most recently, along with 11 other countries, we have signed the TPP, or Trans-Pacific Partnerships Agreement. This historic agreement will open up global trade and investment opportunities to a market about 800 million people, and is another important step forward in our bilateral relations. Malaysia is proud to be the first country to ratify the TPP agreement. One of the major themes underpinning our strong relationship is the shared threat of terrorism, as mentioned. So, with the precious time allocated to me today, I would like to share my thought on terrorism, radicalization, and de-radicalization. As we have been reminded in the past week by attack in Brussels and Lahore, the attack whether in America, Europe, the Middle East, or Asia. Terrorism and radicalization threaten the national security of nearly every sovereign nation. Combating this threat demands a comprehensive and holistic approach taken within the framework of regional and international cooperations. We need to be clear about what we are facing. Daesh, or often called the Islamic State, or ISIL, or ISIS, persecutes religious and ethnic minorities, kidnaps and beheads civilians, and murders children. They systematically enslave, torture, and rape women and girls. Daesh operates across three mutual reinforcing dimensions: a physical enclave in Iraq and Syria, and international terrorist network that includes affiliates across the region and beyond, and ideological movement of radical jihadism. We have to target and defeat all three. Let me be clear that we stand united with US and other coalition partners in our ultimate goal to fight against terrorism. And time is of the essence. Daesh is demonstrating new ambition, reach, and capabilities. For instance, they have come to employ and use technology to disseminate their ideologies in their recruitment drive. Ironically, they leverage on the same technological infrastructure provided by the government they want to overthrow. We have to break the group's momentum, and ultimately, it's back. Our goal is not to deter or contain Daesh, but to defeat and destroy it. Let me repeat that. Our goal is clear. We must defeat and destroy Daesh, IS, ISIL, or whatever name. Because we have to be united. We have to be together to fight them, to destroy them before they destroy us. But we have learned that we can score victories over terrorist leaders and networks only to face subsequent threat down the road. So we also have to play and win the long game. We must pursue a comprehensive counterterrorism strategy, one that embeds our common mission against Daesh within a broader struggle against radical jihadists that is bigger than any one group, whether it is Al-Qaeda or ISIS or other similar network. Ladies and gentlemen, we are facing both an immediate war against a shared enemy and a generational struggle against an ideology with deep root that will not be easily thrown out. Together with the US and other governments, Malaysia is doing what it takes to protect each and every citizen from any threat to their life and property. Terrorism is a violent and bloody rebellion which seeks only to oppress and destroy all who are opposed to its mission. This passion arises from a deep-rooted adherence and myopic loyalty to a mission that many of these militants do not fully comprehend, but yet they are blindly devoted to. I believe it is this passion, the overwhelming emotional reservoir in radicals and extremists, which we need to identify and address. It is without doubt that this is a battle on all fronts, on the ground, in cyberspace, and especially in hearts and minds. And I would like to spend my time with you today discussing how we in Malaysia are approaching this battle. Ladies and gentlemen, Malaysia is a small nation, but an important one in the battle against terrorism. We, Malaysians, with a population of about 30 million, we are a melting pot of many religious, ethnic and cultural traditions. Muslim, Hindus, Christian, Malays, Chinese, and many more. In order to stop these menace in Malaysia, we have to fight them in three major areas. Firstly, we must deny them from getting fund and financial assistance from any parties. We are handling this. We are handling these issues using Anti-Money Laundering and Terrorist Financing Act or law. Secondly, we must prevent them from handling explosive, bomb making and handling of firearms. Last but not least, we must stop them from having access to improvised explosive device or IED and any nuclear-related component. Yesterday, we have concluded Nuclear Security Summit chaired by President Barack Obama. The nuclear weapon or weapon with mass distractions. The destruction to the masses has to be avoided. We are united against the activities of the terror. We have to fight them. And 53 leaders was gathering in Washington yesterday to send very clear message that this group has to be fought by us. Ladies and gentlemen, and another pertinent issue that needs to be addressed immediately is the usage of social media in disseminating Daesh ideology to across sections of society in our country. In handling this issue, our government, together with our international partners, including the US, have taken proactive measures by setting up a digital counter-messaging center. The main aim of the center is to conduct counter-narrative approach in order to prevent Daesh from disseminating its ideology, false information, and recruiting new members. Malaysians have big aspirations for our country. Our government has put progressive policies in place to spur economic development, and we are now ranked 5th on Bloomberg's Best Emerging Markets list, as well as 18th in the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business report. Our goal is to achieve developed nation status, inshallah, if God will, by the year 2020. It's not far from today. But we have our own challenges to overcome. They include challenges in managing our multiracial and multi-religious society. We have faced domestic conflict, yes, unrest and violence in the past. And like other nations, including the US, Malaysia is not immune to the threat of terrorism. We have ourselves been the victim of terrorist activities associated with communism, which undermine the social fabric of our multi-religious and multi-ethnic society, particularly in the 1950s. We defeated them, but not without a heavy cost to our country. In fact, Malaysia is the only country in the world that defeated communism, both in the jungle as well as winning the heart and the mind of their sympathizers and supporters. That bitter experience places us in a strong position as we go forward in partnership with the US and the entire global community in fighting extremism, be it religious or ethnic. Having seen the impact of terrorism and extremism firsthand, we are deeply committed to doing whatever it takes to ensure security and prosperity for Malaysia today, as well as for our children and future generations. Indeed, in recent years, we have multiplied our effort in stamping out radicalism and extremist elements. This includes strengthening and enhancing Malaysia's legal framework for addressing and deterring such threat, as well as embracing a comprehensive approach that includes de-radicalism and rehabilitation. Under the Prevention of Terrorism Act, or law, also known as POTA, individuals involved in terrorism may be detained at a special facility where they undergo rehabilitation. They will only be considered for release if a special board is satisfied that they no longer pose any threat to national security. I know that some of you may think the idea of rehabilitating and releasing extremists back into the society may be a strange one to some of you. But just as addiction to drugs is a symptom of a deeper disease, we believe that extremism is best addressed by treating the deeper issues. And let me tell you this, our de-radicalization and rehabilitation approach works. It works. It has a success rate of 97.5%. And as Albert Einstein once said, I quote, "Peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding." And indeed, in the effort to rehabilitate militant detainees, using excessive force has been found to be ineffective. Therefore, we have found that a more prudent and psychological approach is best for changing the ideology of the detainees. We realized early then we has found that detainees include individuals with different background and belief, and their radical inclination may vary. To ensure the success of de-radicalization program, we engage various experts with different specializations, including the police, the security, psychology, and religion. Detainees are also assessed and evaluated by an independent board of experts to determine the length of detention, stability for release, and the necessity for continuous monitoring after their release. Our comprehensive and integrated rehabilitation module covers various areas such as adaptability to community to bring them back to the mainstream. Among major elements of the radicalization program are rewarding positive behavior, shaping up their morals, rational thinking, and to love oneself. The goal of each of these, of course, is to change these individuals. Individuals' understanding about terrorism, extremism, and radicalism. The programs employ a strategy that places importance on the collective and inclusive participation of all related entities. So we include relevant government agencies, NGOs, and clerics or ulama. We involve spouses, parents, and close family members in the rehabilitation process. This is crucial in providing important moral support to the participant. We also identify lecturers and motivators who have extensive knowledge relating to extremism to be involved. The presentation style must be designed to win over the heart and minds of those involved. The police also identifies former detainees who have been rehabilitated to become role models and share their experiences with other detainees. The importance of integrating released detainees back into their society cannot be overstated. When they are released, despite our best efforts, they may still be ideologically and psychologically vulnerable. They are often out of touch with family members and remain jobless. This makes them very vulnerable because they need to have a sense of belonging and a way to survive in a new environment. Ladies and gentlemen, to be sure, this requires a long and painstaking effort. Our government carefully monitors the progress of detainees before making a decision to free them. We cannot ignore the fact that some of them will revert to their old ideology. However, if they do, they know a severe punishment will be waiting for them. And as I have said, we have found that the program is overwhelmingly successful in preventing this from happening. Ladies and gentlemen, countering terrorism and extremism is a collective effort, and Malaysia believes that international cooperation and solidarity is crucial in ensuring its success. Terrorism is a serious threat in an increasingly borderless world. It has struck at places where security can be highest. We are shocked and saddened by the attacks in Brussels and Lahore recently. As we know, it also happened in Paris, Istanbul, Ankara, Jakarta, Beirut, San Bernardino, and other cities. We must take each of this as a reminder that terrorism can strike anytime, anywhere. That is why we, the world community, must join hands in identifying and neutralizing extremists everywhere in the world. Malaysia is proud to have joined global effort to combat terrorism. Our commitment is reflected in our readiness to participate in the global coalition against the Daesh during the 70th session of the UN General Assembly. We are also proud to partner bilaterally with the US on this issue. Last year, in Washington, I joined Secretary of State John Kerry in signing Homeland Security Presidential Directive number 6, or HSPD 6, an important arrangement that allows our law enforcement agencies to exchange information on known and suspected terrorist lists. We are also working closely with the US to establish and operationalize a regional counter-messaging center in our country, in Kuala Lumpur, to counter negative narratives of elements concerning terrorism. The center is expected to be fully operational by early next month. And here, the chief operator of the counter-terrorism center, this is Datuk Fauzi. Big hand to Datuk Fauzi. Datuk Fauzi is the man in the top list of the terrorists in Malaysia. That's why I brought him here. Hopefully he's safe. Ladies and gentlemen, as we are aware, as nations invest and allocate huge portions of their budget for counter-terrorism operation, they must also invest in non-lethal rehabilitation and de-radicalization program like those I have described just now. Addressing terrorism and extremism will be one of the defining issues of our time. It will only be achieved if we are willing to constructively engage with one another and to pursue peace in place of conflict. I will leave Washington for Malaysia inspired by the warm relationships between Malaysia and the government and the people of US. I know our friendship and partnership will take us both to greater height and will help all of us address the significant challenges we face today. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to each and every one of you, to the US government, and most of all to this esteemed university for giving me the opportunity to speak about these important issues. Finally, I would like to invite everybody to stand up and deliver our appreciation to both esteemed, distinguished lecturers here. They deserve to be given big hand by all of us. Once again. I would like to invite everybody to give standing ovation to the university, to the faculty, to all of them. And I would like to invite all of you to Malaysia to see for yourself our beautiful and progressive country. Thank you very much indeed. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Deputy Prime Minister, for your excellent speech. I think one of the points you made among many that will resonate with this audience, but I think it should resonate with everybody who is concerned with terrorism and extremism, is the fact that Malaysia in the 1950s defeated another form of extremism, maybe even more serious, with an approach that was not only fighting them in the jungles, but also in the hearts and minds. And I hope the war on terror that we all read about, and some of us in the audience may have seen it or participated in it, should remember that hearts and minds is key to fighting terrorism. And also global cooperation, another key point that came out, that you cannot, no country, however powerful, can defeat a threat like this single-handedly. So bilateral, regional, and global cooperation is very important. So with that, we move to the next stage of our event, which is when I will pose a few questions to the Deputy Prime Minister and to elaborate not only on this theme, but also in the larger issue of Malaysia, how Malaysia sees the region and the world, and also the global war on terror. So, Deputy Prime Minister, may I start with my first question? Malaysia sees itself as the role model of a moderate Muslim majority country where Islam and democracy go hand in hand. What are the challenges and prospects for Malaysia continuing with this path and role in view of recent political developments in the country and also the rise of extremism in Southeast Asia?
Professor, first of all, I'm fallen in love with this campus, this university, honestly. Thank you for inviting me here. And thank you for giving me very difficult questions to be answered. But as you are aware, Malaysia is proud to serve as an anchor of moderate Islam in Southeast Asia, and to partner with this country, with US, in fighting against terrorism. We are leading example, as I mentioned earlier in my keynote address, that Malaysia is a key example of a democratic, tolerant, and progressive multi-ethnic Islamic nation. However, like any successful democracy, we have evolved over time, And though we are a small nation of only 30 million, we are facing challenges in managing our pluralistic society, which is both racially and religiously diverse. Nor we are immune with terrorism, as I mentioned earlier. And we have, I should mention here, there are close to 180 of them. 180 terrorists is now in our prisons. And we were having about 47 Malaysian who is involved in Syria and Iraq at the moment. But 18 of them has perished. I am emphasizing here again that when we introduce preventive law, it's not just about punitive law. We have put our extra effort in showing not only other religion, but other countries that, yes, Malaysia is a Muslim country, but we are very moderate Muslim country. We have to practice 5 fundamental of Islamic teachings. Yes, we have to translate our belief in 6 pillars of Islam. But Islam never taught the Muslim to be terrorists. What more to kill people, nor to destroy any countries or religions or the world. Islam is about peace. The meaning of Islam is peace. Toleration is our utmost important element. The Quran, the verse says, Lakum dinukum waliyadi. The real translation is that you are with your religion, I am with my religion. That is the literal translation. The real meaning, the interpretation is that in order for our religion to be respected, we must learn to respect other religion too. That is the real meaning of this ayah, the verses. And I don't understand why, whether they are Daesh or Al-Qaeda or the extremist group, they claim that they are closer to God. They are looking forward, so-called looking forward, to have a shortcut to go to heaven. Probably we will go to heaven earlier than them because they had a wrong interpretation of Islamic teaching. Because they denied the right of other religion to exist. This has to be corrected. That is why moderate Islam is not about compromising with the fundamental of Islamic teaching. What is important is translating and practicing the true teaching of Islam, so that Islam is to be painted with real painting of peaceful religion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My next question is about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP. And as we heard, Malaysia has signed the TPP agreement. So the question is, what benefits do you see Malaysia receiving from TPP? Maybe that will help the American Congress, US Congress, to ratify the treaty. But more importantly, Malaysia is also a member of the ASEAN Economic Community. And do you see the TPP in any way affecting the prospects for the ASEAN Economic Community?
TPP is the brainchild of President Barack Obama. I'm really worried if this TPP is not to be translated into action, because it has very clear objective to be achieved, not only by US, but by 11 other nations. As I mentioned earlier, it will address 800 million people. It will benefit not only just US, but other participating countries. And we are not go against any other nations, economic superpower elsewhere, but we would like to work together with them. We would like to create not only domestic economic environment, but also we would like to exhibit the impact of close collaboration and economic cooperation among countries. But definitely it boosts Malaysian and US bilateral relations, and will open up trade and investment, especially FDI, foreign direct investment from all participating nations. To me, the agreement will also integrate economies and enhance trade and investment activities across the Asia-Pacific region. In particular, it will help, I reckon, and it will also forge closer relationships with our regional friends. In Southeast Asia, three participating nations besides Malaysia is Vietnam, Singapore, and Brunei. So we are closely linked together in terms of economic bilateral. And Indonesia is also shown their keen interest to participate. We would like to welcome Indonesia because I think they are going to contribute with, I would say, quite impressive domestic growth, because they are having about 235 million inhabitants. And I reckon if Indonesia were to be together with us, it will take some time for them to negotiate and also to rectify the agreement. But with this cooperation, we expect to see continued regional economic integration through a single market and production base, which will help ASEAN to become more highly competitive economic region and promote equitable economic development and allow ASEAN nation to take its place as a key participant part of global economy. And then I would like to mention more specifically, we anticipate a 5% higher GDP by 2025 and a nearly 12% increase in export by 2025. Sectors like textile, for instance, apparel, commodities, and the electronic industry will see particular gains. And the important element here is the FDI, foreign direct investment. I think it will boost not only bilateral economic relationship, but also giving opening of the economic floodgate for participating country to freely trading among participating nations. And overall, we believe TPP will create new opportunities and benefit not only Malaysian businessmen, but I think it will also benefit workers, for instance, and consumers. And as for Malaysian, it will promote our product. We would like to show our innovation, our productivity and competitiveness, and many opportunities for foreign direct investment, as I mentioned earlier.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My next question is about the growing tensions in the South China Sea. As we all know, of late there has been rising tensions over competing territorial claims in the South China Sea between China and several ASEAN member states, including Malaysia. So how serious do you think, how concerned are you that the South China Sea conflict will threaten peace and stability in Southeast Asia and Asia Pacific? And how hopeful you are that ASEAN may be able to find a peaceful solution to this problem?
As mentioned by you earlier, I was the Malaysian defense minister. And this problem is very close to my heart. I was deeply involved in our bilateral meeting with China and multilateral meeting with claimant countries. The problem is very, very serious. It touches our sovereignty. It touches about the hydrocarbon reserve in South China Sea. It is estimated about 1.3 trillion US dollars worth of hydrocarbon reserve underneath. But what is important for us is not to fight with any countries. I think we should negotiate. Although US has shown a concern about this region, this area. Why? China is not a member of UNCLOS, United Nations Convention Law of the Sea, where the 9 dotted line has to be recognized. Why they would like to claim South China Sea? Because the name is South China Sea. And Philippines would like to change the name to South Sea. But to us, changing the name is not important. But to us, ASEAN region has to work together with their neighbors, especially China. We are basically working very closely based on commercial and trade relationship with China. China is our biggest trading partners. Then we have to maintain stability and peaceful relationship with China. And I reckon our stand is we can no longer act in unilateral self-interest or the claimant country to maintain Cold War. I think we need to work together. We shouldn't fight against each other. I think we appreciate the effort taken by the US government, especially the Navy. I know the 7th Fleet is there, but we would like to avoid that Third World War to be avoided. I don't want the superpower to fight. And we will be the victim. We would like to work together. We would like to work with China. We would like to work with US. We would like to work with our ASEAN member countries. We would like to work with everybody. And to us, strengthening ASEAN-China ties is key to regional peace and prosperity in our regions. And I reckon it can be translated if we are sincere, if they are sincere. I believe with good heart of our leaders, with good effort by our foreign ministry official, we trust this region will be very peaceful region. South China Sea will be very peaceful passageway for all merchant vessels.
Thank you. So for my last question for our discussion, I would like to go back to the issue of terrorism and extremism. There have been a lot of horrific developments lately, the bombings in Paris and Brussels in particular, but also in other parts of the world. And some pundits are saying that this is the sign of a clash of civilizations, and not to put a finer point to it, between Islam and the West. Now, what is your take on this clash of civilizations thesis? And you have already described to us how Malaysia is handling the problem of extremism and terrorism, but could you also tell us a little bit about the root causes of terrorism and extremism? And how do you see the global war on terror? Not only the war or the efforts of Malaysia, but the international community led by the United States. How do you see that? How effective do you think that's going to be?
So many people refer these terrorists as those who are frustrated in many angles of their life, many aspects of their life. They frustrated because they are jobless. They are frustrated because their love is not responded by the other side. But from our empirical studies, it shows that at least 50% of them are having personal problem. 50% of them. This data can be confirmed by the chief of our intelligence here, because we have studied empirically. Professors, engineers, architects, students in Malaysia who is involved in Daesh group. They have job, they have money, they have good family, but they are still involved in the activities of Daesh. It shows that frustrations is the main factor. The frustration because they fail to understand the real teaching of Islam, the real meaning of the teaching of fundamental of Islam. And they would like to be involved because they are also attracted with their peer group. Social media is used to recruit, to train the potential, the future terrorists. And they are so attracted because the promises to go to heaven earlier than all of us, as I mentioned earlier. I would like to imagine that a 14 years old girl, when we detained her at the airport, so the police was asking her, why? How? She is attracted to join the Daesh. Her reply was, she got married to a terrorist in Syria. Marriage in Islam, there must be an akad. There must be an agreement between both sides, the parents of both sides. But the akad took place through Skype. She was so attracted with the potential husband, probably with full beard, which is more attractive than without beard, like me. 14 years old girl. Actually, she was frustrated with the parent. She belongs to a broken family. That is why the empirical study shows 50% of those who are involved as Daesh because they are frustrations. because of their individual needs is not fulfilled. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, that the most important step to be taken by us, and we have taken, as I mentioned earlier, that our success rate was about 97.5%. And we have shared our little experience with other nations. In January last year, January this year, 25th to 26th, my ministry, Homeland Security Ministry, have organized International De-Radicalization Program. We would like to share our experience in rehabilitation program with other nations. We invited at least 26 different countries to participate in our international conference. And we translated the SOP for de-radicalization program with other nations. And we are also providing training for the trainers from those countries to learn from us. Because we had problem ever since 1948 when insurgency during communism agency happened in our country. Ever since then, we managed to de-radicalize these people. The template is about the same, whether they are communists, they are radical, they are extremists, they are militants. This is about heart and minds. We need to rehabilitate their heart and minds. And although we are a small nation, we would like to share our experience with other nations. We would like to fight. We would like to work together in fighting terrorism. We are very committed with the international community. We have shown, record have shown our success rate. And I have offered our little experience with my counterpart here, Secretary J. Johnson. I offered the same to Ambassador Susan Rice, as well as, of course, Secretary John Kerry. They recognize that although we are a small nation, but inshallah, if God will, we would be able to share our little experience with international community in fighting terrorism.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Deputy Prime Minister, for your insightful and I would say very comprehensive answers to my very difficult questions. I guess that my sense is that your message, overall message, is a hopeful one. We talk about a variety of challenges from terrorism, extremism, South China Sea conflict with China, talk about TPP and its relationship with ASEAN Economic Community. And I was impressed by the way you were able to end in a positive note, that there are problems, but it's not the end of the world. We can, through cooperation and through right policies, like the hearts and minds, governments and peoples can actually address that. And I think that's very important because you don't, these days in the media, you see a lot of hopeful messages. People seem to be more pessimistic and about the prospects for not only Southeast Asia, for the world in general. So thank you very much for your answers.
Before you conclude,
Yes.
we would like to offer our service to even to Guantanamo prisoners for us to de-radicalize them, inshallah, if our service is needed. This is my personal commitment to American government and people, inshallah.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so we are not done yet. We have the last part of our event today, in which I will take questions and comments from the floor. I have a few ground rules. I will read them out to you. I will take questions only from students. So if you are not a student, please do not ask any question or make a comment. So that leads to the second rule, which is that come to the microphone and introduce yourself very briefly. And third, speak briefly. And do ask a question. You can make a comment, but do ask a question. Here is a great opportunity to listen to the Deputy Prime Minister. So may I ask, can you raise your hands? How many of you want to ask a question? Ooh, I thought so. Okay, I am going to take 2 sets of questions, okay? So the first set from the left, those who have raised your hand, that's it. Come to the microphone. I will bunch the questions, and I will summarize them to you. And then we'll do the same thing from the right side. So please come to the microphone and ask your question briefly and introduce yourself.
Assalamualaikum, Dato' Hamidi. My name is Alia Shaiful. I'm a senior here at American University. So my question goes to your efforts as Home Minister for the migrant workers in Malaysia. I know you've recently closed off all the migrant workers coming in, but you have also signed the memorandum for the 50 or 500,000 Bangladeshis. I was wondering, what are your efforts regarding the migrant workers in Malaysia, and what Malaysia's efforts are in order to also consider the illegal migrants and refugees that are currently in Malaysia working illegally as well? Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'll bunch the questions.
Terima kasih. I'm Stephanie. I'm a graduate student here at SIS. My question has to do with the haze problem coming from Indonesia. How are you holding Indonesia accountable for every year this problem with the haze and the corporations that are creating it? And what do you see happening in the future regarding holding Indonesia accountable for its transparency? Thank you.
He is the Minister for Home Affairs and Deputy Prime Minister, not the Environment Minister. But we'd like to hear. Okay. Next.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. My name is Liz Rathburn, and I'm a freshman here. I'm interested in your thoughts on the situation of the Rohingya Muslims, as particularly you talked about radicalization as one of the key ways to deter extremism. Many scholars are worried that their harsh persecution by the Burmese government could lead them to Daesh as a result, and I'm interested in your thoughts on preventing this.
Thank you. And the last from the left.
Hi, my name is Joseph Wagner. I'm a sophomore here in SIS. I actually had a class with Professor Acharya last year, this time. And my question is, how do volunteer paramilitary groups like RELA play into counterterrorism efforts?
Can you repeat that again?
Yes. How do volunteer paramilitary groups like RELA play into counterterrorism efforts?
Thank you. So, Deputy Prime Minister, the questions are quite broad. Again, you don't have to speak on topics that you have no responsibility for. Although I would think as Deputy Prime Minister, you have responsibility for everything. But there was a question on, it's basically about transnational issues, migrant workers, the problem of haze, which we have heard a lot about, and of course the question of volunteer. What's the volunteer groups of? Yeah. And generally the question of terrorism. So take your pick, and this is the first chance. This is the first of the 2 chances you'll get to answer. And then we'll have from this side.
So I haven't experienced any excellent moderator like Professor before. She is so generous in giving the choice whether I would like to answer or reply. But I would like to answer all, because I am also very generous in giving my opinions. To answer the first questions, at the moment, officially, we are having about 2.135 million foreign workers, legally. But there are claims that about another 2.5 million illegal workers working in Malaysia. Yes, we signed a memorandum of understanding with Bangladeshi government to employ an additional workers to Malaysian plantation sector, manufacturing, and other service sectors. But there is only memorandum of understanding. It's not based on 1.5 million. 1.5 million is based on registered potential Bangladeshi workers to work in other countries. It's not solely in Malaysia. What is our problem? Our problem is that not many Malaysians would like to work in 3D sectors. What are 3Ds? Dirty, difficult, and danger. 3Ds. And because of this, the factories, companies would like to have foreign workers. Because Malaysia has a short interest or little interest in these 3D sectors. But the government is accused that we are importing these workers. We are not. We are only providing the services for foreign workers to work in our country, just like what is happening in Qatar at the moment. Because of this FIFA World Cup football match, for instance, they are busily constructing the sport facilities over there. And the Qatari government is alleged or accused by, victimizing all the workers. So in our case, the government is always at the losing end. We have Federation Manufacturers of Malaysia throwing the suggestion that Malaysian government should encourage more Malaysians to work in Malaysian factories, Malaysian companies. Yes, we did. But the demand from the employers, the demand from the business communities. What is happening in Saudi, for instance, or UAE for that matter? So they need foreign workers. In our case, we encourage automations. We encourage some semi and skilled workers training. So the process is ongoing. But they were alleging or accusing the government by not giving enough minimum wage for local workers. So we have improvised our system by increasing the basic minimum wage for foreign workers as well as for domestic workers, local workers. We did that. But these are the problems which I think I need to address, because although we have human resource ministry to handle in terms of policy, but because Homeland Security is the ministry which handling immigrations department. So the document and the enforcement is done by immigration department. So indirectly, I am the man who is responsible to take care, number one, the legal documentation given to foreign workers. Number two, is the welfare of the foreign workers. Number three, that relationship between employers and employees must be really strengthened so that the foreign workers is not victimized, then the employers will benefit from the service of these foreign workers. I hope it will satisfy you with that question. Number two, about the haze. The problem is with plantation sector in Indonesia. Many plantation areas, especially at the oil palm plantation estates, the oil palm is planted in the peak soil. During summer here, or we call it rough season there, the peak soil will spark of fire because of, human factors. But President Jokowi has promised that within 3 years, they are going to resolve the matter. 3 years is a long time. I think by June, we are going to face haze again. If we have, over here, we have snow, we have different kind of snow in Malaysia because of haze, illegally imported from our neighboring country. But eventually, it will be resolved. Because we are sending our bombardier aeroplane to assist them to firefight the haze areas. And number 3, about the RELA. RELA is the volunteerism. I think RELA, that volunteerism's effort is very organized and structured under my ministry. And these people are assisting the police and the military because we believe in total defense. We call it in our language, HANRO. Pertahanan menyeluruh is a total defense, where the defense is not only depending on the effort taken by armed forces, the military and the police, but these are the second liners to work together with the police and the armed forces to defend our countries. And they are also helping the police to reduce the crime rate, to reduce the illegal foreign workers from coming into our country. So far, there are about 3.8 million has participated in this program out of 30 million population. And my target is to get about 4 million volunteers to join RELA by end of this year. And number 4, about counter-terrorism. As I mentioned earlier, I believe in, number 1 is preventive measures to be taken. Like the law which we introduced, the government introduced. I tabled the law in Parliament. So many so-called human rights lawyers was really questioning the decision made by the government because they would like to fight for the human right. So I was asking them, what will be the human right to be rendered to the people who is victimized by the action of these terrorists? What will be the human right given to the police, to the military who is involved as victim? Finally, I argued with them in Parliament. The debate is not very long, only about 14 hours and 38 minutes. Right from 11 a.m. until 2:38 a.m. the next day, which never happened in any parliament, but did happen in our parliament. But it needs very strong commitment from the government. And what surprised me, the speaker did not came down from the bench right from 11 a.m. until 2:38 a.m. the next morning. He did not drink, he did not eat. He did not ask to go to washroom. I wonder how he could stand. But it shows that his commitment, because of security, there is no compromise to it. Security is very expensive price that we have to pay. We have to work together. Whether we are lawmakers, we are politicians, we are NGOs, we are students, we are lecturers, we are professors. Professor Peck is from Malaysia. I really admire your effort by organizing both of you again. Thank you to both of them. And they deserve to be given a big hand again by all of us.
All right. I will now take from the right side, come to the microphone and ask your questions. Yes. Okay, so we have 3.
Hello, my name is Jeremy Landon. I'm a senior here at SIS. My question, you spoke a lot about hearts and minds, and I personally believe that the hearts and minds of the leaders of countries really makes a difference. And so I was wondering, what was it that really, were you always interested in politics, or what was it that got you into politics? Because you've been in politics since before I was born. And so it's just, it was a question I had.
Excellent question.
Hello, my name is Max Lanoska. I'm a sophomore here at AU. My question is about sectarian conflicts in Malaysia as well as elsewhere in the world. What role do you think that combating sectarian conflict in your own nation, as well as globally, plays in fighting extremism? And how do you plan to reduce sectarianism to create a more unified society?
So sectarian?
Sectarian, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Sectarian conflict, like ethnic conflicts, group conflicts?
Yeah, I guess I'm referring more specifically to like the Shia-Sunni split.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Chris Trivedi. I'm a sophomore here at American University SIS. My question is regarding, for you as the Deputy Prime Minister of Malaysia, which is a moderate Muslim nation in Southeast Asia who is committed to defeating Daesh, what do you have to say to those running for president here in the United States who believe that Islam is a religion of violence or that Muslims should be banned from entering this country?
Okay. I'm going to put an end to, after this two, no more questions. Okay, we'll just take this two quickly, yeah.
Good afternoon, I'm Connor Whitson, I'm a freshman at SIS, and we've talked a lot about terrorism, but I just like to change the direction just for a moment. Deputy Prime Minister, I was just curious, how does your government plan to continue handling allegations around your PM surrounding mishandlement of funds and state development funds? Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hello, my name is Zhang Fangshi, and I'm a freshman from China. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. In a couple of weeks ago, I'm pretty sure you had a really nice meeting with Chinese leadership in Beijing, and you mentioned you guys want to really negotiate for the South China Sea issue. So, and as China always claimed, China want to negotiate with parts of the conflict one by one, and like Philippines and Vietnam, they want to have a joint convention, something like that, to invite all parts of the conflict to negotiate together. So which way will you guys prefer? That's my question. Thank you.
All right, so Deputy Prime Minister, again, your choice. Maybe you can start by giving some advice to US politicians. That will be interference.
Okay, as mentioned by you just now, I started my career as a banker way back in 1976 when I graduated. But banking sector is very interesting, but not as interesting as the profession in politics. I have my friend here. He is the ambassador at the moment. He was a banker, but he was also a member of parliament, and he is still the politician in Malaysia. But we lend him here to Washington. Here, actually, politics is not about. To me, it's not about profession. It's about interest. It's about our commitment. Whether the level of satisfaction, if we learn spiral theory of Maslow, level of satisfaction when we would like to see that our contribution has reached satisfaction level, not only to the recipient, but also to ourselves. So in this case, I think politicians, generally, they are crazy people. I'm not referring to any presidential candidate here, but I think, I have no weekend with my family. What more with my grandchildren? Though I look young, I have 8 grandchildren. So I have no time with my grandchildren. But, because of my commitment to not only my voters, my constituent, but with other people, has given me a good motivation to be involved in helping people. If we have money, we are billionaire. Why we like to get involved in politics? It's not because of getting more money or doubling our income. Why you are also getting your children to be involved in helping you? And let other people to handle your business, for instance. I'm not referring to any candidate here, but, these crazy people feel that, business is important, but politics is interest, actually interest. So I hope that reply will satisfy you. I hope you don't intend to be involved into politics. So you will be joining the house of crazy people. Number 2, about the infighting. So we have no problem at all in fighting between the sectarians in Malaysia, because all of us are Ahli Sunnah wal Jama'ah. We are Sunni people, so we have no problem at all. And about the moderate Muslim, yes. If we look back into what Professor Hackington has said, the clash of civilizations. So I think we are talking about, how comparatively the class struggle, for instance, during communism era, as compared to clash of civilizations. But to me, what is important is the world community should work together. If we were to look into our social structure, if we look into how social stratification of the world is changing. The community of the world is changing from pyramid social structure into diamond structure, where the middle class group, where is created by many countries, including China, for instance, because they have the purchasing power. They are the people who decides, not only in terms of politics, but also in economy. Because previously, under the old structure, the elite is controlling the masses. But now, the changing world has happened where the middle income group, the middle class, middle ground people is controlling. They are the gatekeepers, they are the opinion leaders. This interpretation is not because my PhD is in communications, but these are the reality of the world. That is why, if you can see MNC, multinational corporation, they are targeting into middle income group of people because they are having stronger purchasing power. So in this case, I think if we look into the moderations, so moderation of Islam, I think majority of Islam are moderates. And I think we should promote moderations, not only in Malaysia, but I think other IOC Islamic organization countries is also looking into what our Right Honorable Prime Minister has promoted. Then I think we eventually, another book is to be written by Professor Peck about moderation in Islam. Hopefully, his second degree is on moderation. And about mishandling fund, so I hope you know the interpretation and perception by media. So I know media, especially the conventional media, they are writing based on media agenda. They set the agenda setting. They have certain objective. As compared to social media, for instance, they will write anything, even below the belt. When I learned the media theory or communication theory, we were talking about the ethic of journalism. But in social media, because of freedom of expression, freedom of opinion, to them, the ethic is you may say anything, you may write anything. I would like to quote what our Right Honorable was saying. He likes the idea, but he doesn't like the language. But some of the language or terminology used are really unbecoming terminology. But I'm very liberal. Please criticize me. But don't forget, if I can be criticized, if I can be open, I hope that those who criticize me would open. The criticism came not only from me, from other people. We have to entertain differences. Even the Islam entertain differences. But we have ethic to be followed. We have tasawwuf, we have good behavior of Muslim, for instance. We call it adabul ihtilaf. We entertain differences, but we have to respect other people in order for us to be respected by others. If we have this as our principle, I reckon, do away with our differences. Either we are Muslim or with other religion. I think we should be together. We should be one. Not only one nation, we have to be one. The nation of the world, the race of the world. Do away with our differences. Do away with our difference of belief. We have to turn the world into a very peaceful world. That is why yesterday we decided not to have nuclear weapon. Even we address when North Korea, for instance, reacting from the resolution made here in Washington, D.C., that they are now testing their nuclear weapon, just to show that they are not bound into any international resolutions. I think eventually they must realize that the world has to be contained, maintained as peaceful world. The theory of multipolar into unipolar has to be revisited. I think we should work together, whether we are a superpower country or just small islands, republics. I think we should work together as a world, nation. We should work together. Professor, thank you so much.
Thank
indeed.
you very much.
Yeah.
Please don't answer that. Please allow me a couple of minutes to thank the Deputy Prime Minister. Please take your seats. Let me thank our distinguished guest with an anecdote. 4 years ago, I had the opportunity to listen to the Prime Minister of Malaysia, your boss, giving a keynote speech at the Shangri-La Dialogue, which is the biggest gathering of defense ministers of Asia-Pacific region. And the Prime Minister, Najib, started his speech, and I'm not inventing this, by invoking a speech that President John F. Kennedy gave to our university before many of you are even born. In fact, happy to say that even I wasn't born. 1963, convocation. That was a speech about peace, how to build peace. And that speech led to a major arms control agreement between the United States and the then Soviet Union. I was very impressed sitting in the audience that the Prime Minister of Malaysia could invoke a speech by an American president given at American university. So when the time for Q&A came, I stood up, I asked the first question. I said, Prime Minister, I am a professor from American university. I was very proud. We have, over the years at this university, hosted many distinguished politicians, not only John F. Kennedy, but Barack Obama twice. This building was inaugurated by him, and he was here last year to speak about the Iran nuclear deal. We had Prime Minister Justin Trudeau a couple of weeks ago. We had Prime Minister of Netherlands just a couple of days ago. But what is really important for us, and this is for our students in particular, that coming into contact with politicians who actually have sacrificed much to engage with the people and build their nations, there is no experience, no learning that you can have in the classroom that will compare with this. So with this, let me thank you for 4 things. First of all, thank you for inviting all of us to Malaysia. I hope it will be a free trip for some of us. Please bring your tourism minister next time and give out at least some free tickets to us. Our students love it. Professor Heng takes a bunch of our students every year to Malaysia for a summer program. But thank you very much for your hospitality and generosity. Second, thank you very much for your very insightful, very comprehensive answers, and also the overview of critical issues facing Malaysia, Southeast Asia, and the world, especially terrorism and extremism, but also South China Sea and trade and economic issues in the region. Third, and this is most important, thank you for engaging our students. Students are the lifeblood of our institution. And events like this, if you have given a speech at the National Press Club or the Brookings Institution, you will have a very different audience. But here we have to give priority to the students. This is why I limited the questions to our students, not even faculty like me. So thank you very much for your willingness to engage with them, take questions, some of them very difficult questions, but engaging them and answering them so nicely and so insightfully. And finally, as a positive, hopeful person myself, thank you for giving us a very positive and hopeful message, which I think is, I cannot overemphasize. If you read the media and social media and the traditional media these days, there's so much pessimism in the air that the world is falling apart. The world is on fire, as Farid Zakaria wrote. Well, the world is on fire, but we have fire brigades. We have politicians who actually are not aspiring, but like President Obama himself, who are able to find solutions. At least they're trying. And to me, that's very hopeful and very helpful. So thank you very much for your visit to our school, our university. I am sure your visit enriches the knowledge of Malaysia that we have from our American university students and faculty, and it also enriches US-Malaysia relations. Thank you very much again, and I thank you. for your time.